So there's a couple of things that I'm going to be doing. And as you know, this week we're working on the Muladhara Chakra, the first chakra, root support. And this is that demarcation moment that we've been having in this module as we go into the next 7 weeks. Everything that we did prior was really preparatory to this deeper work. And in that first week, I taught a sequence. And I mentioned in that sequence that I will be repeating the sequence when we get to the Muladhara Chakra, because I wanted to give you an example of the way in which we, as students, that there are different ways to approach the experience. When I taught the sequence I'm teaching today, 5 weeks ago or whatever it was a hamstring related class. I did not talk about the first chakra. I did not talk about the traumas associated with that chakra. All I did was invite you into presence, sensation, recognizing your reactivity to the experience when you dissociated, the fantasies that came up, the ways in which the sensations changed, points of avoidance. And I kept it pretty specific just to staying in the sensations in your body. This is even before we really started unpacking trauma and the mind-body connection and the central nervous system and the vagus nerve. This was just an opportunity to get curious about what was arising in your body and your reaction to it. So now I'm going to be repeating that sequence, but this time you've got this information that our bodies remember everything. What connects the physical body to cosmic consciousness, to the subtle energy body, is going to be the chakra system. The chakras distribute prana through the body. They get blocked when there's trauma. That trauma can be in this lifetime. It can be ancestral, cultural, historical trauma that we have embodied via some samskaras. And that then affects that distribution. Each chakra holds on to very specific information related to our life and our experience. The lower half of the chakras, first, second, and third, relate to the physical, logical, literal worlds. The upper chakras lead to the information that's more abstract, esoteric, etheric, spiritual, intuitive, if you will. Our work is to try to organize these energies, because if the lower chakras are blocked because of trauma, then it's going to impact the upper chakras. And so as we go through these individual chakras, I'm going to teach you sequences that target the body parts that are associated with the particular chakra. So this means when you get disconnected or activated, triggered, when you get when judgment starts to come up or emotions start to arise, maybe you can start to see that there might be some connection between the body part that you're working and the tension in that body part with the narrative that lives within that chakra and how it relates to your own personal narrative and what it is that you might still be holding on to that needs not just a physiological release, although that's an aspect of it, but really looking to reframe the narrative, the attachment that you've had to that story, and the way in which that attachment is not allowing you to connect to your true self, compassion, empathy, and love. And instead, it's keeping you in that shadow. The shadow of the chakras, first chakra is fear, second is guilt, third is shame, fourth is unresolved grief, fifth lies, sixth is illusion, and the crown is attachment. And so this week we're going to be looking at fear, the traumas that are related into this chakra, and we're going to be focusing on the body parts associated. So I may have added on a couple of extra poses to this particular sequence that wasn't in that first week, just because I thought it would be really relevant to you all. It's some quad work. But some of the poses, when you're working into that first chakra, and now teachers in the room, we're going to have a mentorship call, I believe, on Thursday at 12 my time. This is really an opportunity for you to look back at your classes. When you think about, here you are teaching a class, you're not even really doing anything that extraordinary. You haven't even mentioned anything that's particularly emotional or triggering in any capacity, and yet a student has an emotional release in the class. This is a phenomenon that happens all the time when tension releases and the student is able to get really present to it. Sometimes they can start to cry. It doesn't always look like crying though. An emotional response before a release, fidgeting, a dissociation where you could just see like they're just kind of staring into space. They're not really present in their bodies, checking their watch, picking at their toes. There are a lot of little ways in which a student can alert you that things are getting activated and that they're in avoidance, whether they're conscious of it or not. And as a teacher, it's our job not to say like, hey, I think you might be activated and triggered right now because of something that I'm actually teaching that's related to the first chakra, because your body's releasing energy and you might not be aware of it. Might not be appropriate, but what could be appropriate is just reminding the student to get back into their body, to breathe, and to observe whatever's arising. Because when that tension releases, the emotion that is stored in this area because of the unresolved tension, the unreconciled story narrative, it starts to rise to the surface. So today I'm going to invite you to, as you're in the practice, notice the sensation, notice any emotions that arise, notice the pose that you feel like you lean towards, the raga, the ones that you desire or feel pleasure. And then also notice dvesha, the poses that you resist, reject, or avoid. Notice who shows up in your practice. Like if you check out, are you doing to-do lists? Are you thinking about your kids, about an argument you had at work or a fight you had with your partner? Try not to unpack it. Just keep making note of what it is that your brain does when it wants to dissociate, disengage, self-soothe. If it shows up on the mat, it shows up everywhere. So everything is about getting that mirror held up to you so that you can see your response to these challenges. So some of the poses for the root chakra, chair, Utkatasana, tree, Vrikshasana, big toe pose, as well as hand under foot pose, so Padangustasana, Padahastasana, Warrior 1 and Warrior 2, which is Virabhadrasana 1 and 2, crescent pose, and some low crescent pose. Why am I blanking? Anjane Asana? Anjayai. I'm blanking on the full name. Triangle pose, Trikonasana, extended side angle, Uttita Parsvakonasana, wide stance forward bend, Prasarita, Padottanasana. I always like that one. Pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana, Janashashasana, as well as Paschimottanasana. And the reason I'm using Sanskrit words here is because it's Posture Lab, and I'm trying to educate you all as much as possible in some of these poses, which I can be a little lazy at and often just refer to the English. But if we're here to learn, I might as well teach you and also at the same time challenge myself. So those are some of the poses that we're going to be exploring in today's class, and they are directly related to that first chakra. They also, of course, impact the other chakras as well, especially the second, but my target is that first. All right, so go ahead and sit up tall, palms on your lap. Actually, we'll come into the mudra for that first chakra, which is Gyan Mudra. So wrists onto the knees, arms straight, thumb and index finger together. The other 3 fingers extend. Eyes closed or softly focus. Track your body for sensation. And remember, we're still allowing space for trauma-informed practices. So you have agency. You decide if any of the information that I'm giving as I'm connecting the poses to different traumas or different qualities, deficient or excessive, if at any point it just feels too much, just back off. Do what you need to do. Resource, get grounded. So track your body for sensation. And as a reminder, Muladhara means root support. The color is red and the element is earth, and it's located directly at the perineum. And it is the foundation of our very being. And that's because this chakra keeps us in relationship with the physical world, the primal world, with the earth, with our family, with our global community. That root chakra is the foundation of our mental, emotional, psychological, and physical health. And it connects us with our 5 sense reality. When we're exploring the first chakra, the questions that we would begin the process of unpacking relate to family, ancestry, culture, community, our class or status, nationalism or emigration, work, shelter, manifestation. For us to do the work we need to do in the world and show up, we need to be grounded and centered with a strong sense of familial and collective identity. Safe and secure in our body. Place your palms into prayer, calling in the God of your own unique understanding. We ask, may this practice be an opportunity to ground, to settle, to stabilize. May we activate that first chakra energy, releasing the coagulated tension that exists within our legs so that the prana can move more freely. May we have the clarity to learn from this chakra and to recognize the ways in which this chakra may be blocked because of the narratives we're holding on to, our false identities, and the attachments that we have to the resentments that we hold, especially from our childhood and from our family. We ask, may this practice bring peace. And then together we offer this blessing with one single Om. Take a deep breath in. And release your hands. And you're going to, let me get my notes. You're going to come into downward dog with the block forward. Thumbs at the base, index finger along the side. You're going to bring your balls of the feet up onto the wall, heels up onto the wall, toes down. Reach into the arms. Allow the ears to come alongside the inner upper arms. Keep the knees bent for a moment. As you elongate through the spine, inner thighs spin back and begin to press the legs straight, pressing into the wall with the heels. Tops of the femurs press back. Just take a couple of deep breaths. And then come down onto your knees. You're going to take that block and you're going to turn and put the block right up against the wall. You're going to take your other block. Bring it alongside. Come back into downward dog. Take your block and you're going to put it high up into the inner upper thighs. Fingers spread. Reach into the floor with the arms, straighten the arms. Squeeze the block with the inner upper thighs. Press the backs of the thighs back. So the tops of the thighs press towards the hamstrings. Squeeze the block. And then descend the heels down, elongating the waist. And breathe. So because the first chakra relates to the base of the body, the parts of the body that are affected are the feet and the ankles, the shins and the calves, the knees, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, deep into the psoas muscle, portions of the hip. It also affects the lower part of the intestinal tract, as well as the adrenals. It also affects the spinal column, the teeth, bones, and your blood. It affects the immune system as well. Take a deep breath, and then you're going to walk your hands back towards the feet. Stay on your fingertips. Tops of the thighs press back. Toes spread. Begin to bend the elbows and relax your head and neck as you fold here into Uttanasana. Keep breathing. From here, you're going to walk your hands back. Bend your knees a little bit. Remove the block. So you're back into downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, stay on the ball of the back foot. Take your blocks on either side of the foot on the highest point. Back left thigh presses up. Your hands press down into the blocks. Pull the chest forward with the shoulders pulling down the back. Breathe. So just focus on the sensation. So remember, when we hold these poses for longer periods of time, it doesn't just affect the gross musculature. It has an effect also on the connective tissue that connects the muscles to each other and to the bone. So the ligaments, the tendons, for example, which are much more dense, don't have the same kind of blood flow going through them. And so they tend to get very, very tight. The only way to release connective tissue is through time and heat. But a lot of sensation comes up the longer we hold the pose. That's why we get addicted to vinyasa flow, because we don't have to feel anything. We just move from pose to pose. But when you hold that pose, all you have is your mind. And of course your eyes. That's why drishti is so important, so that you don't look around. Take a deep breath. Then exhale, put your left knee down. Extend the left toes away from you. You're going to take one of the blocks and you're going to put it up against the wall. Right between the knee and the wall itself. I'm going to walk my foot up a little bit so that the ankle is under the knee. I'm going to put my fingertips onto the wall. Rotate the left hip forward. And I'm going to just press the torso back a bit. Hold here and breathe. So for those of you who've been following me from the very beginning, way back when I was doing the Body and Beyond and just focusing on anatomy and the alignment in the pose. And I referenced many, many times that, of course, one of the main reasons why alignment is so important is because of safety. But it's also because our bodies bend where it's soft, not where it's hard. We get into habits within our skeletal structure, including the neck and the lower back. That means that the muscles that are engaged right above or below our innate flexibility tend to get ignored. When you work with alignment, it forces you to have to stabilize your body so you avoid that innate flexibility, targeting those uninvestigated areas of your musculature, including the connective tissue. And back then, I would plant seeds every once in a while and say, that's where the emotions lie. That's why when you think of people in their practice, I never think of an advanced practitioner as someone who can get their leg behind their head. It's the person who can stay in the pose, steady and calm, just dealing with whatever comes up. And it's going to look different on every body, depending on your flexibility, your body shape, size, etc., height, bone structure. The edge, though, is what determines our maturity in the practice. Like right now, some of you are in your edge. Are you looking around? Are you getting distracted? Are you getting annoyed at me? Do you think that I forgot that I've held you here so long? Just notice what comes up. Okay, go ahead. You're going to straighten that leg a little bit so the block releases. Hands to the floor. You're going to curl your back toes under. Lift the left knee up. Step back, downward dog. Take a breath here just to release that energy. Step your left foot forward. Stay on the ball of the back foot so we come into that high or medium high lunge. Rotate the right hip forward, the shoulders pull back. Is it Anjane Asana? I can't remember the name of this. It's crescent pose. I think it's Anjane. You know when that happens? It's like kind of in the brain, but not quite. So feet press, back thigh lifts, chest forward, shoulders down the back. Find a focal point and deliver that prana, that oxygen into this area. Remembering that one of the traumas, like the earliest traumas that we hold in the body, are related to birth trauma or what was happening in your family or in the world when you were born. What was the relationship with your parents like? Was your birth planned? Who looked after your needs? Was there emotional enmeshment? Did you get all the nourishment that you needed? What was their emotional state? Was there abandonment, rejection? Right there alone, for all of us, there's so much to unpack. What were your family's traditions, their history, ancestry? How did they get here, if it's in the United States, for example? Was there emotional manipulation? That's what lives in this part of the body. Take another deep breath. Exhale, knee down, right knee down. Extend the toes away. You're going to take your block. You're going to put it up against the wall. I'm going to move my foot a little bit closer to get the ankle under the knee. And then fingertips onto the wall. Whoops. A little bit closer here. Fingertips on the wall. Rotate the hip forward. Shoulder blades pull back. Lift the chest. And then breathe deep into that psoas muscle. This psoas muscle connects the upper part of your body to the lower part of the body. And although I'm focusing on it right now in relationship to the first chakra, it's very much connected to the second chakra as well, but really to all of the chakras, because this is so dense, and it moves like right into the middle of the back as well. So you want to take your time with this to keep that tailbone in, the lower belly pulling back. And then notice resistance. What is the chatter in the mind? This becomes a great example of the second sutra. So Yoga Chitta Vritta Nirodha. Trying to still the fluctuations of the mind. What is that sensation? Does the sensation change? A few more deep breaths. Okay, let the block drop. Hands onto the floor. Curl your back toes under. Lift the right knee. Step back. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. You're going to walk your feet to your hands. Move the blocks away. Hold here for a second. Sorry, I keep checking my notes, but I want to try to get as close to the sequence that we did the first time. I don't want to go too rogue. Okay, walk your hands up the wall. Come into Tadasana. Take a moment. Feet press. Thighs press back. Tailbone in. Feel the connection to the earth beneath you. Okay, now you're going to turn around. You're going to take a block, hold it in your hands. I'll start with my right leg forward. Put the ball of that back foot onto the wall. And then you're going to step your right foot forward until you can get your right knee over that right ankle. But more importantly, you want that back leg straight. So even if you can't bend the knee at 90 degrees, so you're in crescent pose, the left hip and thigh rotate forward, your tailbone draws in, and the frontal hip bones lift up. Bring a block between your hands. Notice that my leg is not even close to 90 degrees, so I'm keeping it up for now, really working that psoas, because I don't want to dump into the lower back here. You want to keep that lift of the frontal hip bones, pulling towards the bottom ribs. Shoulder heads back, arms over your head. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale. Bend that right knee as deep as you can, up to 90 degrees. As long as that back leg can stay straight. Keep your palms pressing into the block and the upper arms reaching in towards each other. And breathe. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, just go a little bit deeper. Bend the knee and take 2 more very deep breaths, going right into the sensation, but keep that back leg as straight as you can. And then straighten the right leg. Take a moment here. You're going to bend the knee a little bit, bring your arms forward, release the block down onto the floor for a moment. Bring your left hand behind you onto the wall, and then turn that back foot flat, feet parallel. Step your feet together, Tadasana. Take a breath. Notice any shifts or changes in the energy. And then switch sides, grab that block again. This time your right foot is going to go up onto the wall. I'm going to keep my hand on the wall just for some support as I bring that left leg forward. And then rotate the right hip and thigh forward. Straighten the leg. That's more important, is to keep that back leg straight and the upper torso, in some version of Tadasana. So this wouldn't be Tadasana if you were collapsed in the lower back. Tadasana is that frontal hip bones lifting, the tailbone drawing in. So we're opening that psoas in the top of the quads. Then bend the knee deeper. Block forward and up, shoulders down. Try not to puff the rib cage. Keep the bottom rib stitched down towards the pelvis. And then breathe into the sensation you feel. Find a focal point. Keep pushing into that left foot. And then you're going to go a little bit deeper, if you can, without arching that back. Sometimes we have to create the tension in order to release it. So you go right to your edge. You're going to take just 2 more deep breaths. Dropping in a little bit more. And then straighten the left leg. Release the block. Put your hand on the wall behind you. Turn your left foot in. Turn your right heel off the wall. Hands to the hips. Come into Tadasana. Take a breath here. Now from here, I'm going to use the strap on this one. Grab your strap. I'm going to go to the side. You're going to take the strap and you're going to bring it under the balls of the feet. Feet are separated, hips width apart. You determine that from the outside edge of the feet, not from the insides of the feet. Get a good grip on the strap. Inhale, look up. Tops the thighs press back. Soften the spine towards the floor by elongating the sternum forward. Let the shoulders pull away from the floor and away from your ears. And then release the head and neck and breathe. Grip your quads so you're protecting the hamstrings. And then notice at which point of the hamstring do you feel this sensation the most? Is it behind the knees? Is it higher up at the attachments, right at the sit bones? Keep the legs pressing straight. Inhale, look up. Release the feet. Hands to the hips. Slowly come up to stand. Feet together. Just notice the energy draining. Take a breath here. Now from here, you're going to get your chair. You're going to unfold that chair. I'm going to have my chair half on the mat, half on the floor. And which direction I want my chair? Because I'm going to be sliding the chair forward. Unfortunately, it's going to probably get in the way of my altar. It's okay. Maybe not. Step your left foot back and put your heel on the wall. Bring your right foot forward. The heel lines up with the heel. Draw your right hip back, right? So this is preparation for pyramid pose. I'm going to now bring it off the floor, and I'm going to slide it forward until my arms are straight. My ears come along the inner upper arms. The right hip pulls back, quads lift. Keep the belly firm and strong, and breathe. Deepen the breath. Inhale, look up. Bend your right knee a little bit. Push down onto the chair, and then step your left foot to meet the right. Come into Tadasana. Take a moment. Step your right foot back. Bring the heel up against the wall. The right foot turns in at 45 degrees. I'm going to slide the chair back a little bit first. Draw the left hip back, the right hip and thigh forward. Take a deep breath in. Then exhale, slide the chair forward. Elongate through the spine. So try not to collapse your rib cage below the armpits. For those of you who have that hypermobility in the shoulders, try to keep some support of the torso. Keep that right hip forward and breathe. Keep the right calf extending straight down into the Achilles. Inhale, lift your chest a little higher, bend the left knee, step your right foot to meet the left. Come into Tadasana. From here, you're going to step that left foot back again. This time you're going to need your blocks. And you're going to bring the blocks to either side of that right foot. The left heel is against the wall. You're going to start by staying high on the blocks. Inhale, lengthen, pull the right hip back. Then if you can, lower the block to the next level. Keep your chest forward, but begin to bend the elbows a little. For some of you, go lower onto the block. Bend the elbows a little bit more. For others, you can bring your fingertips forward of the blocks onto the floor. Gaze forward and lower your chest even more if you can. And breathe. Try not to round though. So no point in rounding and putting your nose to your knee, because that is losing all of the extension. The muscles that run vertically on either side of the spine attach into the pelvis as well, and that's going to tug at the hamstrings. So it's all connected. It's the hamstring attachments at the, the ischial tuberosity. Those are those bones in the bottom of your butt. Squeeze the quads. Keep breathing deeply. If you can, walk your hands out a little bit further. Okay, walk your hands back, onto the block. Bend your right knee a little bit. Hands to the hips, flat back to stand. You're going to turn that right foot in. Step your feet together. Come into Tadasana. Take a moment. Take a breath. And then switch sides. Left leg forward, right heel against the wall. Fold. So you start with the hands up onto the block. High. Chest forward, shoulders down the back. Breathe deeply. Or you might find that going to the medium height or to the lower height is more appropriate for your flexibility or your proportions, meaning the length of your arms. You bend the elbows here, keeping your sternum elongating towards the very top of the foot. Some of you can extend the arms forward off of the block and onto the floor, folding a little bit deeper. And again, the invitation is to find your edge. That's where we all meet, regardless of our flexibility. At one point, we get to that place in our body where we begin to resist. And that's usually the moment we'll fidget, disengage, get annoyed, check out, pick at our clothes, pick at our feet. Think about the food we're going to eat, the sex we're going to have, whatever drama it might be or experience. Instead, the invitation is find your focus, your drishti. Breathe into the sensation. Identify the sensation and observe your reaction. Observe your impulse, but don't indulge it if you can. Inhale, look up. Put your hands back onto the blocks. Bend your left knee a little. Hands to the hips. Come up to stand. Straighten the leg. Turn that left foot in. Come into Tadasana. And notice the shift of energy. Take a breath. From here, you're going to take that chair again. You're going to bring it to the wall. You're going to take your strap. Make sure I'm correct. Yes. Okay. I'm going to take a blanket and put it over the seat. You're going to face the wall. You're going to put your right foot onto the seat. And then you're going to put your right foot onto the edge if you can. If you can't, just put your right foot onto towards the back of the seat with the leg as straight as you can make it. You're going to take your strap. Now, some of you might not need the chair at all. And if that's the case, I'm going to recommend that you bring the leg up higher. And then wherever you're at, put the strap on the ball of the foot. Rotate that right hip back. Keep that left leg straight. Lift the chest and then begin to fold over that right leg. Don't worry about getting all the way down. Keep the chest forward. Pull a little bit more on the pinky toe side of the foot. And breathe. So the foot is either on the seat, on the back of the chair, or it's pushing up against the wall. And if you can fold all the way in, go ahead. Still encourage that extension and the pressure on the pinky toe side of the right foot, pulling back. Inhale, lift your chest. Move your hands back, so give some slack on the strap. Bend your right knee a little. Bring it down to the seat and then to the floor. Come into Tadasana. Feel that. And then left foot up on the seat, on the seat, on the back, or bring it up higher. If it's up higher, you have nothing to rest the foot on, so you really have to push against the wall. You want to look down at your right foot and make sure that the toes aren't turned out, that the foot is straight. The femur presses back. Lengthen your chest. And then begin to fold over the straight left leg until you find that first point of contact with that hamstring. And breathe. And then go a little deeper, maybe, if you can. Pulling on the pinky toe side of that left foot. Inhale, come on up. Give the strap some slack. Bend the left knee a little. Put it back onto the seat of the chair and then release. Come into Tadasana. Take a moment. And then you're going to bring the chair to the side. I'm going to go blow out this candle because it looks too hot. I don't want the glass to shatter. Okay, so this next pose we're going to do now, you're going to take your blocks, put them onto the floor, bring your right foot up onto the wall, and scoot your left foot forward a little bit. The right heel's onto the wall, the right hip drops, chest forward. So either stay high onto the blocks or lower it medium, or lower it to its lowest point. And then, for some of you, bend the elbows a little bit, but you're kind of dragging your sternum towards the floor. Slide the blocks back a little bit more. Keep pushing your right heel into the wall. Straighten the arms, bend your left knee a little, lower your right foot to meet the left. Straighten the legs. Take a breath. Bend the knees again. Bring that left foot onto the wall, readjust. Come high up onto the block, so you start there. And this might be as far as many of you go. That might be your edge. Or come down a little lower. You might meet your edge there, or blocks flat. And then some of you can start to bend the elbows, letting the chest drag towards the floor. So it's like there was a hook in my sternum. It's moving right kind of between the blocks. Push both legs as straight as possible. Straighten the arms. Bring your left foot to meet the right. Straighten both legs. Hold for a moment. You're going to walk your feet and your blocks back so your heels are against the wall. You're going to bring your buttocks against the wall so the calves, your hamstrings are all touching the wall. You can remove one of the blocks. Put both hands onto one. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward and press the tops of the thighs back. And then begin to fold. Put your fingertips onto the floor if you can. Elbows in. Walk the fingertips back a little if you can. Elbows in. Relax the head and neck. Try to keep pushing the calves, the thighs, into the hamstring, into the wall. Inhale, look up, hands forward, straighten the arms, hands onto the block, hold here for a moment, step the feet just a little bit more forward, then hands to the hips, flat back to stand, Tadasana. Take a breath. Okay, for here, I'm going to turn and face the wall. This is where I went slightly rogue on the sequence to add in some quad stretches, which are so important when doing first chakra work. It's also something that we don't see a lot of we see a lot of quad strengtheners, but not a lot of quad stretches. So I want to add a couple in. You're going to grab hold of the right foot. You're going to drag that knee back towards the right knee, back towards the left. Either you hold onto that wall for balance and just pull your heel in towards your buttocks, or take your left hand behind, grab that foot, lift the sternum and let the shoulders pull back. Pull the heel in and take your tailbone into your body so the frontal hip bones lift. And you're going to feel the stretch deep into the quadriceps. And then release, fingertips on the wall. Switch, grab that left foot. So you can see how naturally, if I don't do anything, the knee wants to pull forward. So I'm going to pull that knee back. But when the knee pulls back, your chest goes forward. So you got to bring your chest back, take the tailbone in, and then if you can, grab the foot with both hands and pull the heel in while simultaneously engaging the frontal hip bones up. And then release. Take a moment. And just notice when the prana starts to move in that area. And now you're going to turn around and we're going to come into King Arthur's pose. So this one is always, I always forget how to teach this correctly. Start off on both knees. You're going to bring your right knee back, your shin up against the wall. If you're tighter, the knee comes slightly forward. With your hands onto the floor or on blocks, you push down into the block and then you bring your left foot forward into a lunge. Then come higher up onto the blocks. Keep that tailbone drawing in. And now walk the blocks back. This might be your edge. And for some of you, your hands come onto the knee. And then you push your body, your torso, back towards the wall. For some, if you're flexible, you'll see like the foot will come to the outside of the hip. And then take some moments here and observe. The traumas that are also held in this part of the body are any kind of physical neglect, any kind of physical, emotional, psychological abuse. If you were raised in a threatening environment, either within your home or in an area where there was violence, gang violence, for example. If your parents were Holocaust survivors or victims of any kind of genocide throughout their lifetime, or your ancestors before that, forced immigration, homelessness, poverty. Keep breathing. Racism. Families that have enslavement or enslavers in your ancestry. All of that lives in the body. Okay. And then hands back onto the block. Walk your hands forward. Hands onto the floor if you can. And then you're going to bring that left shin down first, and then the right shin down. You're going to sit back onto your heels. Take a breath. Our bodies remember everything, every experience, every family member, every educator, every priest or rabbi, or whatever your religious institution was. Our bodies remember. Switch sides. So now you're going to bring that left knee back. Sorry, hands are on the floor for better balance. And then you're going to bring that right foot up and then bring your hands onto the block. Chest lifts. So you find which works for you, that's best for that quad. You can begin to walk the blocks back. As you do, you might need to adjust that foot. I'm also going to shift my hips because I have the mobility in my knee joint as well as within the quadriceps to get the foot to the outside of the hip. I make that adjustment on myself, but it might not be appropriate for you. For you, your heel might be touching the buttocks flesh directly. And then hand onto the knee. Press the arm straighter to bring your back towards the wall. And breathe. Remembering that the chakra, based on the traumas that we have, when we're triggered in present time, which we all are going to be right now, based on what's happening in our world, as it's proving to be an unsafe and untrustworthy place, there is a fracture in our foundation collectively. And there might be even more fractures in your personal life if you're dealing with loss or divorce, illness, surgery. So things that are happening present time are cumulative to what happened before that made you feel similarly to what you might be feeling now, bringing up as a result feelings of anxiety, which is an excessive quality in the chakra. Keep breathing. You might be feeling controlling, rigid, having kind of an excessive fear of change. You might be feeling fatigued or lethargic, not able to sleep, depressed. That's signs of a deficient chakra. Feeling disconnected, dissociative. Okay, hands onto the block. Walk the hands forward. And then if you can, fingertips to the floor. You bring that right shin back down, then the left shin, and then heels onto your buttocks. Take a breath. Then shift your hips to the side. You're going to straighten the legs out in front of you and move a little bit. Actually, turn around so you can, feet are facing the wall. We can use the wall. We're going to come into Janu Shasana. So you can elevate yourself onto a blanket if you would like, bringing your hips slightly higher. I'm going to keep my left heel up against the wall. The other blanket, if you need to, you're going to fold. That left foot against the wall, the right knee is bent. You're going to let your right knee drop open. The right foot is against the inside of the thigh. You can fold that blanket and put the blanket under the knee if that would feel better for you. Take the strap and bring the strap around the ball of the foot. Inhale, lengthen. If you feel any tension in your lower back, you don't want to round your back here. You want to keep the extension. You can even bring your chair over the leg. Hold on to the top of the chair. And make that your forward bend as well. Otherwise, you grab that strap, you lengthen, and then fold over the straight left leg. Inhale, come on up. You're going to bring that knee in and extend your right leg forward. Bend your left knee. If you want to, need to, you can put the blanket under the knee. Take the strap around the foot. Inhale, lengthen. So you're bringing your left rib cage towards the right shin. So there's a little bit of a twist that happens here, which often relieves pressure off the lower back. And then fold. Inhale, come up. Release the strap. Bring your left knee in. Bend both knees. Let the knees come together. Cross your left forearm in front of the knees. Bring your right hand on the floor behind you or even on a block. Inhale, lift the spine. Just make a gentle twist. This is just to relieve any pressure in the lower back, especially if you were really engaging the tailbone into the body and decreasing the arch in the lower back. It means that you may have accessed or activated muscles that might feel a little sore. So doing a twist will help to relieve that. Cross the right forearm in front of the shin. Left hand behind you, lift and twist. And then face forward. Extend both feet forward. Use the strap around the feet. Inhale, look up, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Close your eyes here in Paschimottanasana. You're going to hold just for a few moments. And just breathe. As we know, tension, stress, and anxiety are the number one causes of illness today. What often causes tension is emotional suppression. That's cumulative. Like, I hope at this point you get that, you understand that. And that tension impacts the central nervous system, it impacts the hormonal system, the nervous system. And as a result, we can be left vulnerable to imbalances, illnesses, even disease. As I said the other day, though, I don't believe that all the illnesses and the diseases and the broken bones that we get are directly associated to a block in the chakra. But I do believe that no matter what we're confronting in terms of our health issues, by examining what's going on in your body and then relating it back to the chakra might give you a launch pad into being able to reflect on what else might be going on in your life that can use some attention. When there's a block in that first chakra, because of the different body parts and the systems of the body that are impacted, it can lead to digestive issues, chronic lower back pain, sciatica, obsessive compulsive disorder, alcoholism, depression, issues with your teeth, your bone, your blood, feelings of exhaustion, fatigue, disordered eating, issues, of course, in your feet, your ankles, swelling. So if any of that is true for you, is there information going back into the traumas based on our earliest social and familial environments that could be interesting for you to begin to unpack, and how they might be related to right now with everything that's going on in our world and our nation, why you might be feeling triggered or activated or not well, why your legs might be feeling sore or you're experiencing deep fatigue, feelings of anxiety. Inhale, come on up and roll all the way out until you're lying flat onto your back and come into Shavasana. Coming into Shavasana, you're going to close your eyes. Just letting yourself get as comfortable on the floor as you can. And take a deep breath in. Gently exhale it out through the mouth. Just allowing the floor and the earth beneath you to support you. When we begin to heal the limiting beliefs that tell us that our world is unsafe or untrusting, when we're able to heal the wounds and all the ways in which we have not yet addressed feelings of insecurity or instability based on our upbringing, when we find that within ourselves, we begin to relax and have the ability to be still. We're able to cultivate that sense of safety and security, that stability, those strong roots as they extend from within ourselves. We become comfortable in our own skin and able to remain centered, especially in conflict and in crises and in chaos. That balanced root chakra allows us to be open, connected, and experience a sense of belonging. All essential qualities for us to begin the process of transcendence. That saying, you can't build a temple on quicksand. everything go. Let it all go. And rest. Bringing your attention back to your breath. Inhale and reach your arms up over your head. Get a good stretch as you come back into the space. And squeeze your knees into your chest. Roll to your side. And press back up into a seated position. Coming into Gyan Mudra. So thumb and index finger comes together. The arms are straight. The fingers extend. And with your eyes closed 3 times, we'll recite Om Lam Namaha. Om Lam Namaha. Take a deep breath in. Om Lam Namaha. Om Lam Namaha. Om Lam Namaha. Bring your awareness straight down to the Muladhara Chakra. Feeling into that subtle energy, allowing it to expand. See if you can notice anything. A vibration, a quality, an expansion, a pulse. Deep down at the perineum. And then as you ground down, lengthen the spine. Pull the energy up the spine. Keep your eyes closed and then turn your eyeball straight to the third eye center. Let it expand. And then place your palms into Anjali Mudra, to prayer. And together we take another deep breath in. Exhale it out through the mouth. And then we close this practice by giving thanks to God for the miracle and the mystery of these bodies, our physical body, the subtle energetic body, to the possibility of transcendence, to freedom. We ask to remain grounded and centered and present and deeply in our bodies as we do this deep inner work. We ask for continued clarity and protection and safety. We ask to find that safety from within and to trust our truest nature as our guide. We ask, may there be peace. And then together we offer this blessing, this intention, this commitment with one single Om. Take a deep breath in. And lower your chin to your chest. Open your eyes and inhale. Come up. Thank you all so much for class. Namaste.